Hello there, welcome to Rob's Models. I'm Rob and this is my build of Hella's Massey Ferguson 2680 tractor, and that's reference number 81402, and it's in 1/24 scale. It actually, literally, the entire thing can be built without glue. So I actually made that more just out of curiosity. Didn't bother filing down things too much. It was just a quick sort of thing, took some photos. What was quite nice with it is it actually really does give you an idea of the size, what you're going to be dealing with. I just had to be careful when taking things apart again that I didn't actually snap things, which I didn't, but just something to be wary of. Things like with the wheels. I didn't want to push the little locking sort of hubs on too much, just in case that could be a bit of a one-way fit. But there was also obvious quite a few gaps. It's not a really refined kit, is probably the best way to put it. Started with the chassis, and that was really where quite a lot of the filler was really going to be needed on there. It comes together two parts with the engine block all completed as well. The seam line that couldn't really be hid was going right down the front of the radiator, and so what I ended up doing, taking a little bit of plastic card the same size as what the radiator grill is, and then scoring some horizontal lines on that one and sticking that over. Main bit of this is the cab, and that required a lot of masking, quite simple masking in some respects. However, not all of the corners are square, so you still do need to put a bit of care and attention into it, and being so big it's quite easy to miss a part. And I actually masked it on the inside as well, but with this being so big and obvious, you really do need to do both sides of it independently. But once everything got masked, it was time for priming, and I used the AK Interactive Black Primer, sprayed that all over it, all the parts, and some of that also because not only is that going to be a good base for the, basically a good base for it, it's some of the parts were actually going to be in black, so I thought I can just leave it in primer for those parts. There's two sort of greys going on there. There's the lighter grey for the cab, and I followed the paint guide, but looking at some of the things, I think some of the things that I used the dark grey for example, the wheel hubs should have been the light grey as well. When looking at some of the reference pictures, to be honest, the amount of weathering was going on, it didn't make too much difference. The actual engine block, I then used the Mr. Metal 214 iron, and then done a bit of dry brushing with a lighter aluminium. But it's one of those things where the kit is, as I said, quite simple. However, you can put those extra bits of time in there. It'd be quite a good bed for it to put stuff down on. Tamiya XF Red was used for the main red parts on there. I tried a few other reds. First of all, it's not a gloss red, it needed to be a gloss red, but I thought I'm going to be putting a gloss varnish over it, and to be honest, mixed with a bit of IPA, it went down quite well. Once everything was painted, it was glossed over. Not too many decals. The main ones are of course the Massey Ferguson logos going down the side of the white stripe. But of course, main thing was going to be then coming onto the weathering. I wanted to keep it so it didn't look showroom fresh, but I didn't want to just go crazy with the weathering, because I did want to practice work on a few different techniques. And if you just literally be chucking mud and everything all over it, I think that's a little bit over the top for some things. So I wanted to do it where it looks like it's worn, it's been used, it's been washed. So it's kind of like in a sort of good condition, but worn. It's been used, it's gone through mud. And because of that, I thought I'm going to put most of the weathering actually on the wheels, the tyres. With the wheels, do a bit of rust around the edges of the rim. I used a Vallejo one for that, and as well as some AK Interactive, and I just used a bit of everything and just had a bit of a play around. Really, that's really what this was to just try different effects. Doing a bit more rust effect around the rear of it as well, where different attachments are going to be put on, where it's going to get a bit wear and tear, mud going into the cab, but again, didn't want to go too crazy on all of that. And to be honest, that's pretty much the build. Obviously, you can see the photos. Hop on over to website robsmodels.co.uk. You can obviously see a few more photos and zoom in on those ones there if you want. But overall, I've got to say, I was actually quite pleased with it. It went together quite well. If you want to go for a bit more extra detail on there, you can. And if you just wanted to have a bit of a practice with something that's going to have a bit of weathering, and similarly, once it's done, it will be a little bit different on the model shelf, then it's quite a good build. As I say, 45 parts, it goes together quite simply. Similarly, if you've got a child who's kind of getting into modelling, You'd want to kind of get away a bit more from the Lego type Airfix starter sets, but maybe you want something a bit bigger and bulkier that smaller hands can actually have a bit of a play with, and you can go a bit crazy with. Then yeah, it's probably quite a good one for someone who's getting into modelling but doesn't quite want the finesse of trying to build a 70-second Spitfire. Pop on over to robsmodels.co.uk. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, that really is appreciated. And I'm going to be going back to making Cold War fast jets and armour and all those sort of things soon. But I hope you like this little bit of a detour into doing something a little bit different.